Hey everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Desh, and in the previous video we had seen how the filter context is always active in case of Power BI whenever we are going to pull any measure. So there are situations where we would want to nullify this always active filter context. And why? Because if you want to calculate the sales percentage or any percentage compared to the grand total, in that case we would need a value which was going to negate the inherent filter context of Power BI. And in order to do that, we are going to use a very important function in Power BI, which is the all function. Now, the problem statement in this particular video is that I want to calculate the retailer-wise sales percent across the data set. Now, what do I mean by that? So, if I pull the retailer and this on the table on the canvas, and I have this Amazon, Foot Locker, Kohl's, Sport Direct, Walmart, Best Care, and I have the sales amount. But okay, let me just change the formatting a little bit. Just I'll go to specific column. Oh no, yeah, specific column. I have to change the sales amount value to display in millions. So now I can see that the sales of Amazon were 100.97 million. For Walmart, it were 1.5.06 million. Now, what the business wants to see is the retailer wise sales percentage, which means what percentage is 100.97 million in the grand total of 1,200 million or 1.2 billion. So what is the contribution retailer wise? In order to do that, we are just going to use a very small modification in the sales amount formula. So this is the sales amount formula that I have. Now let's create another formula. I will call it say grand total sales. Now that is equal to calculate sales amount, and now I'm going to use the all function. Now you can either use the table name or the column name. I can simply use the retailer, sales retailer. And once I do this, it is going to negate the filter context, which is introduced by retailer column in this particular table. So if I hit enter, and I'll quickly pull this measure onto the canvas. So you see now it's not actually getting affected by the filter context presented by the retailers. This is because the all function is going to negate that filter context introduced by the retailer. Now let's see if there's anything interesting that comes up. Should I pull the city or the region in case of a retailer, and if that actually negates the filter context or it doesn't. So again, the same thing, I'm gonna pull the product, then I will pull the sales amount, and I will also pull the grand total sales. So you see this time the all function did not work because in the all function we had mentioned the argument as nullify this particular context. Nullify whenever you see sales retailer in the table, you have to ignore that context. What if I use the sales table itself? Let's see what happens. Well, now no matter which column I pull from the sales table, it is always going to respect, or it is never going to respect any context that I pull in from the sales table. So I'm done with retailer, product. Let's try with the state. This is also going to show up as a map, I believe. Yeah, it did. Let me convert it into a table. Now, if I pull the sales amount back again and the grand total sales, see, it has again started to not accept any filter context that's coming from the sales table. Do we have any other table? No, we don't have any other table. But what if again I go back to this table and tweak this to only accept or honor the filter context, that is to nullify the filter context which is introduced by the product column. In that case, I should see that there are changes in this table, but not this or this. Or is it going to be the other way around? Let's just find out. I'll hit enter. Power BI seems to have kind of, okay. So see, when I mentioned that, hey, negate the filter context introduced by the product column, in that case, this is getting negated because I've pulled product in the filter context. Whereas in case of retailer and state, it is still giving me the sales amount as is the original sales amount introduced by those contexts. So that's how you are going to negate the filter context inherently produced by the columns that you introduced from the table. Now I'm just going to use all sales. This way, all the tables are going to show the grand total sales. It is going to, regardless of what column you pull in from the sales table, it is always going to negate that filter context. Now, coming back to the question that we had, which is to calculate the retailer wise sales percentage across the data set. I will quickly change the formatting of the specific column to change it to millions so I can see this is getting, I'm getting the correct value 1206.67, 1201.67. Now I will create another column, another measure. I will call it retailer wise sales is equal to divide. Now divide is another function. You have numerator and denominator. Numerator will be my sales amount and denominator will be my grand sales amount or grand total sales. Yeah. And should there be a 0 by 0 situation, I will introduce 0 and I want to convert it into percentage. So I change it here and now I bring it onto the table and see this is what we get. 100 divided by 1201. Let's just pull the calculator. It is going to be correct, but we're just verifying it. So 100.97 divided by 1201.67 is going to be into 100, 8.40%. So that's correct. So that's how you're going to calculate the retailer wise sales percent across the data set using the all function. So the purpose of this video was to understand the case and to understand how all works, because in the very last video we had learned filter context, which is always active, and there has to be some way to tweak the filter context. Now there could be a situation where we want certain columns of the table to respect the filter context and some to not. How are we going to act in such a way? Well, there are other options also introduced by Power BI. We have all except and all selected, and we are going to look at them in the future videos. If you enjoyed watching this video, share it with your friends, leave your feedback in the comments. Until then, thanks for watching and happy learning.